We are live from the Sheet Center in New York City, and it's Saturday night! I can say that, right? That's cool? Okay, cool. Live from the Sheet Center, my name is Ken Gennard. I'll be hosting tonight's comedy show at the New York Encounter to roast 2020. Roast 2020. Jokes? Comedy? Laughter? How can we laugh at 2020, a year that brought us pain, suffering, and heartbreak? Well, we feel this is exactly where comedy can help. Because if we look back at these difficult circumstances, we may find that we could find some humor. And comedians do this the best, because they take their own pain and suffering, and if you know comedians, well, they are familiar with pain and suffering, and they find a way to laugh at it in spite of it. So, we're going to do that tonight, here at the New York Encounter. And we're going to have a moment where we can laugh at ourselves. And if we look deep in our hearts, we find that even in the worst circumstances, we always want to look at the brighter side of things. So tonight, we have invited a group of comedians, a group of fantastic seasoned comedians, to help us to look 2020 in the eye and laugh at ourselves and at the world around us. And we will have the pleasure of listening to wonderful jazz pieces in between the acts. Allow me to introduce our first comedian. Tom Shillue is a comedian and a TV host who performs regularly at The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon and The Greg Gutfeld Show on Fox News. His comic memoir, Mean Dads for a Better America, was an Amazon bestseller. Please welcome Tom Shillue.
Hey.
I hear ya! I hear ya! Thanks so much, everybody. I'm looking at an audience. I'm on stage. I'm seeing faces. It feels great. How's everybody feeling tonight?
Good.
It's a real audience, people, and we're in a real space. I want to thank the people from the New York Encounter for, really bearing with me, because they asked me to come here, and I said, oh, New York Encounter. Yes, that sounds great. And they said, well, it's going to be virtual this year. And I was like, no way, I'm not doing it. I'm sick of the Zoom shows. I'm done with them. I'm not doing another Zoom show. And they said, well, Tom, I think you said you'd be interested in the New York Encounter. We are doing it virtual. We're going to be at the Sheen Center. Why don't you come down? If you want to do a live show, get on our stage. We'll do it like a show. We'll turn on the lights. I'm looking at people's faces right now. I feel like I'm back in show business. I said, I'll do it. So I feel great. And thanks for pushing New York Encounter, folks. You pushed back. When I gave you a little guff, you pushed back, and it all worked out. I think it's great. So when reality hits, I've been thinking about that phrase because reality did hit us. It hit us hard this year. And it made me think about how I'm pushing back. I like to push back against it. Safety culture, I'm pushing back against it. When I think of safety culture, it's kind of like an oxymoron to me. It's like, we didn't get the safety, really. We lost our culture. We gave up the culture, not that safe. So I'm thinking, I didn't grow up in safety culture. We had it. The modern world is safety culture, but we turned it to 11 this year. When I grew up in the 70s, it was a lot less safe. The 70s were less safe. They were less comfortable. They were less sensitive. I remember kindergarten, first day of school, I was scared. I didn't know where the school was. My mother pushed me out the door. This is in Norwood, Massachusetts, where I grew up. She pushed me out the door. I said, Mom, I don't know where the school is. She said, just follow the other kids. So there was a group of kids walking by, and I just kind of folded in with them. They weren't nice to me. You didn't have to be nice back then. But eventually, I got to school. And school wasn't that safe either. You know, we had the bullies. The teachers weren't that nice. They didn't have to be. And I mean, safety. My kids, when we had school, when the kids were going into the classroom, they couldn't bring in, like, peanut products. Nothing with peanut anything in it. If it's unsafe for one, it's unsafe for all. So no peanuts. When I was a kid, we didn't have hot lunch at the very beginning in my elementary school. But if you forgot your lunch, what happened was the janitor brought out a big tub of peanut butter, industrial size, and he'd put it in front of you on the lunch table. And that was your lunch. Just eat the peanut butter. And all the other kids were jealous. They would come around with their sandwiches, and they'd just dip into your peanut butter, and they'd eat it. They'd double dip. They'd take their finger out of their nose and stick it in, and they'd eat it. I don't know what brand of peanut butter this was. I think it was called Immunity Builder. Then they'd put it up there on the shelf for the next day. So we were less safe, and we were less secure, and less sensitive. I mean, the 1970s were not sensitive at all. We're very sensitive now. But if you want to know how insensitive the 70s were, just look at the advertising. The advertising tells it all. We had the Frito Bandito. People over 40 know what I'm talking about. The Frito Bandito was the spokesman for the Frito Company. He was the most politically incorrect spokesman in the history of salted snacks. For those too young to remember, let me go over the Frito Bandito. Broad strokes here. He was a 3.5-foot tall Mexican thief. He would come into town with guns blazing. He would steal your Fritos from you at gunpoint. Then he would eat them while you watched. Then he would sit down, lean against a tree, pull his sombrero over his eyes, and take a nap. They would never get away with that today. Can you imagine anyone suggesting that at an ad agency today? They'd be like, well, what do we got here on the Fritos campaign? Okay, the Frito Bandito. All right, Phil, you don't work here anymore. You got to go to HR, fill out some paperwork right now. All the ads on TV were culturally insensitive. We had that ad for laundry detergent. How do you keep my husband's shirts so clean? Ancient Chinese secret, gong. Really, a gong in a laundromat? How about, some of them were just violent. They had Hawaiian Punch. Hawaiian Punch, every kid's favorite drink. Every commercial was the same. Be a bunch of kids on the playground, and one of them would say, I'm thirsty. Out of nowhere, this Hawaiian would walk in and just punch the kid directly in the face. And it wasn't a little tap either. It wasn't a fun Hawaiian punch. He clocked the kid. He was unconscious on the playground. And what did the kids do? They celebrated. Yay, Hawaiian Punch is here. Timmy's in a coma. The hot dog commercial, they had politically incorrect jingles. Remember the hot dog commercial? Most people know how to sing it. Hot dogs, Armour hot dogs. What kind of kids eat Armour hot dogs? Fat kids. Yeah, it's fat kids. This song listed all the children of the world, every type of child you could find. They, beginning with the fat kids, of course. Do you think they discussed that around a table? They're like, really, should we start with the fat kids? Definitely, that's our customer base. Here's how the jingle went. Fat kids, skinny kids, kids who climb on rocks. I guess that's some kind of demographic I'm unaware of. That hot rock climbing market. Kids who climb on rocks, tough kids, sissy kids. Aww. Yes, they said sissy kids, and they meant it. It showed a kid, he's crying, you know. They showed all the kids. You know, they showed a fat kid. They showed a kid climbing up a rock, holding onto that hot dog for dear life. Then they showed a kid bawling his eyes out, holding a hot dog. I don't want to be the sissy kid. And they were like, well, you're obviously good at it. Then the kicker. Tough kids, sissy kids, even kids with chicken pox eat hot dog. Yeah. Close it with the chicken pox. I did not go to copywriting school, but I'm pretty sure rule number 1 is don't associate your food product with a communicable disease. And it showed a kid, face and body covered with sores, eating a hot dog. If he was in my school, he would have dipped it in my peanut butter. So it was a less sensitive time. It was a less safe time. And it was a scarier time. It was scary for kids. We were scared of bullies. We were scared of our teachers. Especially, we were scared of our parents. My dad was scary. He would come into our bedroom on Saturday morning. He'd wake up me and my brother just with the sound of his breathing. That's how we woke up. Then I'd open my eyes. He'd say, "Get in the car." Get in the car. It was like Darth Vader with a Boston accent. So we'd run downstairs. We'd get in the back seat of the Dodge Dart. He would drive. We didn't know where we were going. No seatbelts either. Seatbelts, highly optional in the 70s. People had big families. You could afford to lose a few, right? So we'd be driving, sloshing around in that back seat. Somehow it worked. You know, Dad would take a left, would slide over. He'd take a right, would slide back to the other side. But we'd be getting car sick. My brother and I, Irish Catholics, we're a car sick people, of course. So we'd be getting motion sick, and we wouldn't speak up to my dad about it. Because speaking up to my dad, scarier than illness. So we'd be just trying to hold it in. Did you ever try to vomit silently? My dad would be, "What's going on back there?" "Nothing." I think I threw up. Yeah, I definitely threw up. And Dad would get out of the car. He'd pull over to the side of the road, get out. He would just throw dirt on it. That was his method. He would just cover the vomit with roadside dirt. Didn't help, just made a dirty vomit. So young people, I talk like this, and young people say, "That is so sad, you're an abused child." I'm like, I wasn't abused. We were happy kids. We were just very scared of that strange man who came home at 5 o'clock every day. We would run. My dad would pull in the driveway, and we would all run. Every kid in the neighborhood would be playing wiffle ball. Just everyone would just drop their bats and run. I'm running too. I'm like, he's my dad. I'm going to see him in like 20 minutes. I don't know why I'm running. But we did run. Because dads were scarier in the 70s, and their dads in the 50s were even scarier than them. And then in the 30s, they were go back each generation, the dads were scarier. And if you doubt that, just take a look at any photograph from the turn of the last century. Ask yourself if the wife and children look anything but terrified of the man in the derby hat standing at the end. That's right. But my generation, we all had Darth Vader dads. That's why my generation is so ridiculously attached to Star Wars. The mythology really resonated for us. You remember that famous scene when Darth Vader's looking down? He's like, "Luke, I am your father." Guys like me were sitting in the back of the theater like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." I can't believe I didn't see that one coming. So we're less sensitive. We're less comfortable. We're less safe. I think we should end with a little satire. I actually wrote down the definition of satire just so we'd all be on the same page. Satire is tough to pull off in stand-up comedy because we're used to getting the laughs. But in good satire, it's not always hilarious laughter. In great satire, like for instance, Dr. Strangelove, a great satirical film. A lot of people say, that's my favorite comedy. But then you watch it and you say, wow, it's not that funny. But it's funny, but it's not ha-ha laughter. It's not rolling on the floor laughing. But in great satire, sometimes you just go, wow, that's funny. That is funny, what's happening in the world. Maybe we ought to not do that. So I thought, let's end with a little satire here, because I saw something in the newspaper the other day, and I was thinking about our theme, when reality hits, and I'm reading something real. I'm reading a real story from a doctor in the newspaper, and I'm thinking, this is reality, but it reads like satire. I'll read you the definition of satire: the use of humor, irony, or exaggeration to expose or criticize people's stupidity or vices. That's pretty good, yeah. And this article in the paper, it reminded me as a kind of an inverted, bizarre version of that great ironic story by O. Henry, The Gift of the Magi. You know that story. We read it every Christmas. It's the story of the young couple in love. They're newly married, and they're trying to express their love, but they're poor, and they want to buy gifts for each other. And she ends up, with her long, beautiful hair, selling her hair. She cuts off her beautiful hair, and she sells it in order to buy her husband a chain for his pocket watch. And of course, he sells his pocket watch in order to buy her a set of combs for her beautiful hair. And we read that story and we say, oh, they should have had a chat. But, you know, we don't laugh out loud, but we know there's something about it. We say, that is funny. That is funny what they did there. So let me read you from this article in the newspaper. It's a doctor, and he's talking about some of the, he says doctors are supposed to do no harm, but he's talking about, he writes down the instances of harm that he has witnessed. And he says one such instance, an 88-year-old man who has been married for 62 years to the girl next door. And I thought to myself, it's like an aged version of that young couple in The Gift of the Magi. He came into the hospital very frail. His wife had gone into a nursing home before the first lockdown with dementia. He could not see her because he was not allowed out, and no one was permitted into the home. Their few Zoom conversations didn't work due to their mutual deafness and her dementia. As she was dying in July, alone among strangers, he begged to be with her, but he was not allowed. Two people at the end of their lives, they want nothing more than to be together. He's prevented from seeing his wife, who he loves more than anything, by the health officials, by the caregivers, by the people who are supposed to alleviate suffering. And the story ends with a twist worthy of O. Henry. Not being able to see his dying wife broke him. It broke his heart, and he declined rapidly. When he got a letter inviting him for a vaccine, he said, quote, "Why am I allowed to go out for a vaccine, but not to see the woman I loved more than life itself?" He refused the vaccine. Days later, he became very unwell with a urinary tract infection. He has now died. The doctor concludes by saying the lockdown intended to protect this man destroyed his life and made the end of his life meaningless. Not hilarious. Not really a knee slapper, I guess, but it does make you think. It does make you go, huh, that is funny what we're doing. It's funny. Thank you so much. Good night.
Let's hear it for Tom Shillue. One more round of applause for Tom Shillue.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. That was funny and poignant. Right. I'm going to introduce our musical interlude pieces. Andrea Domenici. Andrea Domenici is a jazz pianist and composer, and he recently graduated from the Juilliard School with an MM in Jazz Studies. So, without further ado, let us enjoy the amazing Andrea Domenici. How's everyone doing? Zoom audience, give me a yay.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Allow me to introduce our next comedian, Vince Fabra. Vince Fabra is a stand-up comedian, yes, we know, based in Charleston, South Carolina. Hello, Vince. And over the past decade has regularly performed at clubs and colleges around the country. Please welcome Vince Fabra.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Yeah.
Hello to all my friends on Zoom here. Hello to everyone out on YouTube. My name is Vince Fabra, and I'm super excited to be here with you tonight. I got to be honest with you. It's kind of an honor to be here because I'm one of those people that was raised Catholic, you know, so like twice a year, I find myself in a pew still saying, and also with you, you know, like an idiot. So I can't adjust or I refuse to. I got to really dig deep and find out which one it is. But I got to say that I still keep tabs on the church. I'm a fan of the direction of the church. I think Pope John Paul II is doing a great job. I think he's killing it. Been killing it for a while. And yeah, I'm just glad. Yeah, you're doing JP2. I see you, bro. I'm I'm actually back home in New Orleans, Louisiana this weekend. This is a big weekend for me, okay? So I'm here with y'all tonight at the New York Encounter. And then tomorrow, here in my hometown of New Orleans, Louisiana, I'm going to be the godfather at my nephew's baptism. Yeah, that's a true story. Thank you. Thank you. And if one of you snitches to the Archdiocese of New Orleans that I'm not really a practicing Catholic and therefore disqualifying me as the godfather, I will lead my own personal crusade. I'll just tell you that. All right. And it won't be pretty. Let's keep it between us. Let's keep it between us. But I am back home in New Orleans, Louisiana. If you're wondering why me, a man in my 30s, would be maybe in the office of a man in his 80s, if you're looking around, this is just his office has old man vibes. That's because I'm in my Uncle Bob's office, who is the oldest of my grandmother's 8 children. So Catholic. Real quick, in the chat feature for my Zoom friends, and also for the people on YouTube, I won't be able to see it, but real quick in the chat feature, how many kids did your grandma have? You know, let's just talk about it. 6. Okay. 10. We got double digits. Nice.
Whoa,
7
13.
and 5. 13. We got a 13. Good Lord. All right. The
Genghis
winner, I
Khan.
was looking around my Uncle Bob's office for something to give the winner. And because I am in a white man in his 80s office, I have 2 gifts for you. I have this golf tee paperweight.
Oh my goodness.
And I have this as well. Old white guy is gonna old white guy. You know what I'm saying? Old white guy is gonna old white guy. So 16. Tia, is that real? You're lying.
That's
Charles?
Yeah.
16 grandkids or 16 kids?
My grandmother on my mom's side had 16, and my grandmom on my dad's side had 15.
Wow.
New York and Pennsylvania.
All right. That's great. Awesome. All right. Now, no one else talk. Okay. That was a one time. I just wanted to know. Now now I go back to talking. Great. Well, this is so cool. We're roasting 2020, y'all. We're roasting 2020. And I got to say, I've known 2020 for a while. 2020 and I go way back. And 2020, I'm looking right at you. You've always been a bomber, man. All right? You've always sucked. I was first introduced to 2020 when it was a television program hosted by Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters. After a night of family entertainment, TGIF, baby, you've got Step by Step. You've got Family Matters. You got dinosaurs, dude. You got the one
Dinosaurs.
with
Oh,
I forget
man.
the name of it, but you got Balky on there. You know, we're all eating popcorn, snacking on Twizzlers, and then all of a sudden, 2020 with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters comes on. My parents hit the television and say, "Bedtime, 2020." You suck. You suck. Several years later, I'm reintroduced to 2020. 2020 rebrands itself. It's now a piece of music. After several years of trying an acting career, Justin Timberlake comes back with his much awaited return with the 2020 experience. Let me say this, it was not a pleasant experience, okay? If Axe Body Spray had a soundtrack, it would sound like the 2020 experience. Jake Timberlake. And in case you forgot, Ugh.
Oh, free Britney.
This is 2013. This is pre-streaming. I bought that CD, okay? I wasted $17.99 on the douchiest 20 tracks of music put to record. 2020, you suck. Then the calendar says 2019, and everyone's like, oh, 2020 is going to be a great year. All these like Instagram influencers, you know, are like, 2020, clear vision, focus on you, buy this energy drink, you know, like Instagram influencers are. And I was like, y'all don't know. 2020 sucks, y'all. 2020 is going to suck. And it did. And just like the host and Tom talked about, I mean, obviously there are some obvious things that affected our world in ways that will take, decades, if not centuries, to undo. But I want to focus on some of those smaller and more personal things, 2020 turned me into a stay-at-home dad, you guys. You did that, 2020. Mm-hmm. From March until now, I'm a stay-at-home dad. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my wife has been working from home during that same amount of time. So I am a stay-at-home dad with a supervisor. That's right. I am the epitome of middle management, you guys. Okay. I have 2 barely functioning employees, and I have a boss that gives a lot of notes. Okay. I get an hourly performance review. All right. And let me just say this. I'm definitely not getting laid off. Double entendre. Oh, married people not having sex enough. Come on. We're all adults. We can handle a cheesy dad joke. You did that to me, 2020. You turned me from a not very in-demand comedian into a stay-at-home dad. And I'll never forgive you for it. Wasn't like the phone was blowing up in 2019, y'all. I watched them kids in 2019 too. But yeah. 2020 was also the year that I had to stop cursing because I'm watching these kids. It was also the year that I've never wanted to curse more. When's the last time you said, ouch? You know what I'm saying? Just doesn't do it. You drop something, oopsie daisy, doesn't cut it. You know what I'm saying? I'm working with shoot, shucks, darn, and dang. It's like trying to get hammered, but you only got O'Doul's in the fridge, I need something harder, baby. All right? I'm not trying to sound like a silly goose out here. Give me something. 2020, man. You sucked. You sucked. Joining 2020 on the dais tonight are some other major performers from 2020. Let's give a shout out to toilet paper. Toilet paper's here. Shout out to toilet paper. Welcome to the roast, toilet paper. Toilet paper, you did a great job this year holding a mirror up to society and showing just how terrible we are. Toilet paper, you reminded us that every selfish butthole has a butthole. Thank you, 2020, for reminding us that every selfish butthole has a butthole. Let's give it up for hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer in the house. Shout out. Dude, hand sanitizer is a big year for you. You're coming off many years of negative press from a bunch of boomers sharing articles about how millennials would drink you to get high. So my Uncle Bob shared that article. That's how I saw it. So, shout out to hand sanitizer. Bouncing back, baby. Bouncing back. Let's give it up for elastic waistbands in the house. Elastic waistbands in the house. Shout out elastic waistbands in the house. I'll tell you where else elastic waistbands are. On this waist, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Why put on pants with buttons? Who needs it? Shout out to Uber Eats. Uber Eats is in the house. Welcome, Uber Eats, to the roast. Uber Eats not only giving us food to nourish, but also waving to Janet from my front door was the only interaction with people that weren't my family. So that felt good to just nourish my soul and my belly. Shout out to Uber Eats. Shout out to the concept of time. The concept of time is in the house, y'all. Oh my God. Concept of time, you had a wild year, my man. You had a wild year, dude. You were expanding and contracting. The concept of time in 2020 was like Christian Bale getting ready for a movie role. You know what I'm saying? Gaining weight, are you losing weight? I don't know. Is a day a year? Is a month a day? What are we doing? 2020. Concept of time's in the house. Shout out to that afternoon cocktail that you snuck while still on the clock when working from home in the house, baby. You've all been on a Zoom meeting like this. Yeah, I really think that's a very interesting topic. Gulp, 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 gulp. Yeah. I think we need to come back to that. Let's table that and come back. Yeah, real quick. Oh, yeah. Good point, Jim. Good point. And lastly, shout out to that annoying thing that your roommate or spouse did that you never noticed until 2020. In the house, dude. Yes. How hard is it to pack a dishwasher? How hard is it to pack a dishwasher? You got to put it in there in a certain way so you can get the most in there, so you're being efficient with your time and your water bill. Okay? It's not that hard. Pack a dishwasher. And lastly, here's where I bring it down. Here's where I get it a little serious. 2021 is here, baby. 2021 is here. And 2021, I got to say, you're not off to a great start. You're not off to a great start, okay? The entire country is frozen under ice and a bunch of neckbeards stored in Capitol, okay? So 2021, you're not off to a great start, all right? But listen, if we can all take what we learned from 2020, be a little bit kinder, be a little bit more courteous and thoughtful of others, I think that 2021 will be a fantastic year. Now, this is the part of the roast where the roaster is then sincere towards the guest of honor. So let me just say this, 2020, you did suck as a year. There's no arguing that, okay? I want to say, as a television program, if I were a little bit older, I think we could have gotten along. I really enjoy CBS Sunday morning. You know, as an adult, as a man in my 30s, I love watching the news. And I got to say, I was kidding earlier because this album is a bop, dude. I love this album, all right? I only had to bring it up because I had to crap on you, 2020. And this album is great. There's so many good songs on there. Push Your Love Girl. Mirrors? Don't forget about Mirrors, dude. So good. Give me that 9-minute version of Mirrors any day of the week, any year of the year, any day. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. 2020, 2021. I love it. I love Mirrors. I love you guys. My name is Vince Fabra. Thanks for letting me be on this roast of 2020. That was a lot of fun. Let's hear some jazz music.
Thank you, Vince. Let's hear it one more time for Vince Fabra. Yeah.
And for Charles's grandma.
Vince, very funny and accurate recap of 2020. Thank you, Vince. And now, once again, Andrea Domenici.
Go ahead.
And we're back. I hope you're enjoying the music. And I just want to point out that the first version of that video, the first piece that we heard, yes, it was sideways, and that was completely intentional because 2020 was a sideways year, so we wanted to make a statement and show something sideways. All right, our next comedians, Jeannie Gaffigan and Greg Iwinski. Jeannie Gaffigan is an Emmy-nominated comedy writer, best known as writer and executive producer for The Jim Gaffigan Show, which is loosely based on her family life with her husband, Jim Gaffigan. Greg Iwinski is also an Emmy-nominated writer, best known for his work on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and Tales of Titans. And now, let's watch Jeannie and Greg.
Okay, let's see here. Greg? Greg, can you hear me?
Jeannie, yes. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you and hear you, and I got you up on the video screen. Oh my gosh, this Zoom thing is so weird.
I know. Could you imagine using this all the time? I'd go nuts. And I'd stop wearing pants.
Oh, I'm way ahead of you. So, how is LA?
Can't complain. It's not New York, though. Nobody sneezed in my mouth in months.
New York gets old. I mean, there must have been 300 people in front of me this morning at Starbucks. The line went out the door, the crowds. I mean, what I wouldn't give to see an empty sidewalk in Manhattan for a change, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, what do you think about this latest pitch for 2020?
I gotta say, deciding the storyline of what happens every year, that's my favorite part of this job. Man, some of those years were great. I loved 1000. I loved 2000.
I just think you like easy to remember numbers.
Okay, that's true. But 2000 was a pretty great year. There was so much acid wash denim. It was heaven on earth. But what are we going to do with the 2020 script that we got in? This thing is a real doozy.
Yeah, I have a lot of notes. I mean, it has potential, but I don't really think we're quite there yet. For example, this pilot episode, January. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of plot lines.
Totally. I get the A plot line, but the B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Z. There's so many storylines, I just can't keep track.
Okay, the episode starts very globally, which I like, you know, not too much focus on the US, which is always good. You know, they've got the floods in Indonesia, the wildfires burning in Australia, big wildfires, and then they have the volcano erupting in the Philippines. That's pretty good, but all in the cold open, you know?
Normally you want natural disasters to come up mid-season to raise the stakes.
Then you have Iran firing missiles into U.S. air bases, like a very 1988. Am I right?
Hey, I looked great in hypercolor.
Well, retro is in. But here, it's just, I don't understand. One of the missiles misses and hits a Ukrainian passenger jet and it goes down.
It's too much. People hate subtitles.
Oh, wait, another plane crash in the same episode? This time it's Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old.
No, you've got to cut this. What do you want people to do? Get sick and leave?
No. That's not going to do it. No. Cut.
Wait, I like this. The World Health Organization declares a global health emergency over a coronavirus outbreak. That was a good movie. Outbreak? Any movie where a monkey is a principal cast member? That's 5-star film.
Coronavirus, huh? You know, we might very well be able to get a sponsored content deal from Corona Beer.
Yeah, good thinking. 2020 can be the year of Corona. Sit back on your couch with Corona.
Ooh, wait. I love this. Get this. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle quit the royal family. Now that I can work with. I mean, it's like, guess who's coming to dinner? Except this time the girl is the black guy, right? And the white girl is the Prince of England.
They name a virus that kills millions of people and decimates the world economy COVID-19. Doesn't sound like a disease. It sounds like the magic thing at the end of an Avengers movie. Quick, Ant-Man, grab the COVID-19 and put it in the oscillation overthruster.
What if, instead of actually leaving the royal family, they just dramatically discuss leaving? And it can be like a spin-off of The Crown, except we don't have to pay for the rights to The Crown, and we could shoot at Buckingham Palace. I mean, I would love to visit that set, right? Who wouldn't?
What about calling it something snappier, something people could take seriously, like Germ Deluxe or Flu Plus or Doom Snot?
You know what people would take seriously? The Harry and Meghan story. It's like a reverse Cinderella.
Okay, episode 2, the virus goes global, schools close, unemployment all-time high, stock market crash. This is going to be expensive. What kind of budget are they asking for this? $1.9 trillion?
Trillion. Like that's a thing. Trillion. What are they doing? An Avatar sequel?
Okay, moving through the season. LA is going to win the NBA Finals and the World Series. Like, if you're going to pander to an industry town, at least disguise it a little bit. Have the Clippers win.
Okay, hold on a second. I had a question here. So all the kids, at this point, all the kids are on an app, a social media app called TikTok. Is that like the 2009 Kesha song, TikTok? I mean, isn't that a little old? I was thinking of something, maybe we could do something about the name, like something a little more hip and modern, like Tweezer or Twerkette.
Twerkette. I love it.
Oh, really? I just came up with that right now. You like Twerkette? Yeah.
No, I'm a man in Hollywood, and I said it right after a woman said it. So I think that means I came up with Twerkette.
Oh, okay. That's right. You just came up with that.
So the virus is raging in meat plants and in prisons? That's risky with audiences.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, meat, way too political. Yeah, keep it in the prisons. Nobody cares about bad people.
Okay, this here. They want to have Trump tell people to inject bleach, but then also to bring a powerful light inside the body. No way.
Yeah, no, I mean, even for Trump, that's too dumb. No.
Okay, mid-season, this pandemic thing is kind of dragging on. Everyone's stuck at home. Everything is closed. Everybody is still dying. Ugh.
Oh my gosh, I know. Reading this part was so boring.
Yeah, I actually tuned out in this section, and I went and taught myself how to bake bread.
Ooh, how is it?
Not sure. I keep asking the loaves, and they won't answer.
Oh, Groucho Marx, right?
What can I say? I'm a Marxist.
Yeah, I kind of suspected that.
Hold on, they have John Legend showing up in like 218 different TV specials. How is that physically possible?
Moving on to summer. Okay, big giant super spreader event in Lake of the Ozarks.
That's gotta go. Somebody's already doing Ozarks.
Okay, riots, race wars. Wow. They sure like killing black people, huh? I really don't know if our white audience is going to be comfortable with that.
Trust me, they're very comfortable with it. But what if like a famous white person dies? Like a game show host that everybody loves, or a 80s musician, or one of the James Bond guys, or like an important judge. Yeah, an important judge.
Oh, can the judge be a woman?
Yes, a hot woman.
I guess she can be hot.
Also, they've got way too many hurricanes here. And then in the middle, they throw in murder hornets.
Oh, wait, I actually love the murder hornets. Love them.
Okay, let's split the difference. We'll keep the murder, lose the hornets.
Fine.
Okay, I didn't get this part. The president gets the virus, but then nothing happens to him and there are no consequences. That seems like a really weird choice.
Okay, wildfires burning down Napa Valley. I mean, didn't they already do wildfires in the beginning of the season? I mean, what is this, like a callback?
Seems a little redundant. Burn me twice, shame on me.
And then the presidential election goes on for 6 days.
And they recast an old white guy with an older white guy? Come on.
Well, you know what they say about American leadership. You can never be too old or too white.
Truth. So what are you thinking about the Thanksgiving episode?
What about a tearful reunion of the royal family?
The Royals again? Jeannie, are you British?
I mean...
Are you from Britain? Are you part of the royal family? Because I swear I thought you were from Milwaukee.
I like princesses.
Oh, the war on Christmas? I don't want to steal storylines from Fox News.
Wait, the season finale is just an announcement that the vaccines are coming?
No, you might have missed it. There's an RV explosion in Nashville.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Everyone immediately forgets it happens? Like, what is it, a teaser for like a domestic terrorism plotline in the next season? I mean, but is that enough? Couldn't they have like a ton of people dress up as Vikings and storm the Capitol or something?
Nah, let's put a pin in that. Let's save it for next season.
Fine.
What about this for a teaser? Season finale, last shot, in a church. It's quiet. Push in on the major. There's baby Jesus, and boom, he starts twerketting.
Oh wait, what is twerketting again?
It's like TikToking, but we own the rights to it.
Right, but what's TikToking?
I don't actually know. I have to ask my stepson's stepson.
So is the Harry and Meghan thing totally dead, or?
Wait, I've got it. What if we shake up the whole paradigm, we set it in a faraway galaxy, and each one of these 2020 disasters happens on a different planet?
Wait, I love that. And then a main character can go to a different planet for every episode and solve each of the disasters every time.
Yes.
One of the planets can be the Murder Hornet planet.
He needs to be a silent brooding type with armor and a cool helmet.
Oh, and he needs a sidekick, like a beautiful, strong first lady type. Oh, what about Meghan Markle?
Nah, the sidekick needs to be an alien. You don't have to pay alien SAG rates.
Oh, an alien baby, like a really adorable alien baby with like ears and big eyes, and he's just so yummy and everybody loves him. And he makes everyone happy.
Yes! We've got our show. The Armor Guy and Baby Alien. We're geniuses.
Woo! We did it! We did it! We did it!
Air high five.
High five! Yes!
I'd say we should toast, but the only alcohol I have in this office is hand sanitizer. I mean, when am I ever going to need that? I think this was a great note session. I mean, 2020 is going to be a year to remember. We're great.
Oh, is that our next meeting?
Oh no, it's my kitchen timer for my bread.
Oh, cool. Let me know how it is.
It's probably like me, dark and sour. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Okay. Bye. Get started on that. Oh, I got it. Wait. 2020, a space oddity. I love it. Okay.
The bread's full of hornets!
Let's hear it for Greg and Jeannie. Yeah, I think if somebody wrote that script for 2020 ahead of time and submitted it, it would be tossed out as too far-fetched. I think we can conclude that. How's everybody doing in Zoom land? All right. So we'll have one more musical interlude before our last comedian. So please enjoy Andrea Domenici. That is some toe-tapping music there. All right, I'm going to introduce our last and final comedian. Hope you're enjoying the show. Our last comedian is Jeremy McLellan. Jeremy is a stand-up comedian who tours internationally. He was recently honored as a new face of comedy at the prestigious Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal. A staple of interfaith events around the world, he has performed sold-out tours in the US, Canada, the UK, and Pakistan. Let's hear it for Jeremy McLellan.
Hi, thank you everyone for having me. I am, of course, thrilled to be part of Encounter 2021 and this eulogy for 2020, which is currently the only Catholic funeral service in New York City being allowed by Andrew Cuomo. Now, before I begin, I just want to mention that a few days ago I had sinus surgery and a tonsillectomy. And so a lot of pain. I thought about canceling, but then I was like, is there a more 2020 thing than trying to do comedy while in horrible, horrible pain? So, here we go. Because I think we can all agree, 2020 was a hard century, right? Like together, we witnessed the worldwide coronavirus pandemic, the US presidential election, and from what I'm being told, some other news stories. I don't know what they are, and I haven't heard about them, but I'm pretty sure, they're out there, But tonight, it's not about that. It's not about death, politics, the past, present, future, any of that. Tonight, my friends, is about one thing, me. All right. Because let's face it, this is it. This is my one chance. All right. It's been 1 year since I performed live before a real audience. All right. Instead of doing Zoom shows in my office for undergrads who refuse to unmute their mics. Why? Just unmute your mic. It's terrible. And I would say more and use more colorful language, but you see, I'm a Catholic comedian. So although I do hope you enjoy my performance tonight, I am performing for the one person who can actually save my career in comedy, Jeannie Gaffigan. And if you don't, Jeannie, if you're listening, just yeah. and if you don't enjoy it, that's okay too, because I'm new at this. Not comedy, but being Catholic. 2 years ago, I joined the church. And when I became Catholic, my friends asked me why. And they kept asking why. And I said, honestly, there's no better time than now. It's like GameStop. You invest when the stock is at the bottom. Right? Like at these prices, you can't afford not to get baptized. It's buy low, sell high. That's what I'm going for. And so far, it's paid off. Because soon after I joined, the pandemic hit. Meaning I became Catholic right before the bishop said we didn't have to go to mass. It was great. It was like an introductory offer, right? It's like join the Catholic Church, no mass is down, right? And as always, if in 90 days you aren't happy, that means it's working. Catholicism. Now, I know a lot of you watching are Catholic, and so you might be wondering, like, what do I do during all this time? And like, specifically, which saint should I be asking for intercession, right? So I'm here to help. Now, for those of you who don't know or aren't Catholic or whatever, being a saint is like getting a blue check mark on Twitter, right? The Catholic Church merely verifies that the person who died is in heaven, is worthy of being followed, and can report things on our behalf to the great admin God, right? So without further adu, here are 5 saints that can help us through the pandemic. Okay, number 1, Saint Charles Chuckles Borromeo, who served as Archbishop of McLellan. The movie Mulan, during the plague, He shut down the churches, he held mass in the empty streets, and he actually cured several witches by burning them at the stake. And so, shout out to him. Number 2, Saint Anthony the Great, 4th century Egyptian monk and patron saint of infectious diseases. Now, please be careful when you pray, as he is not to be mistaken for St. Anthony, the just okay of Padua, right? Otherwise, you'll die of coronavirus, but find all your lost items. So don't confuse them. Right? For 3, take a moment, say a prayer. 2 and 4, Saint Corona herself, right? Saint Corona is a 2nd century teenage martyr who has nothing to do with the pandemic, and who is not only facing severe branding issues, but is taking AP pandemics online to intercede for us on Earth. Steep learning curve, but we believe in you. All right. The other one is Saint Dempha, Dempha, the patron saint of mental illness. Now, if you're quarantined at home with a wife and kids like me, running out of patience and medication, you will definitely need her help to keep safe. Number 5, last but not least, Saint Genesius, my confirmation name, the patron saint of stand-up comedians. Now, most of us, including Genesius, have canceled our tours and are trying desperately to make money while stuck at home. So throw him a prayer, throw us a few bucks, and maybe you can become a Patreon saint yourself.
Yes.
Now, like many of you, including Vince earlier, the pandemic not only took my career by surprise, but also my marriage. Again, I did not agree to this. I did not agree. I took an oath when I got married. I took an oath before God to be an amazing husband and father 3 to 4 days a week at most, right? With the rest of the time spent traveling, right? I was traveling, I'm great. I'm dad when I'm at home and then out of here. But the last year, 24/7. And just please, I can't go on like this, but whatever. comedians are not the only losers in the pandemic. And I think it's time we remember the forgotten ones who have suffered in 2020. Okay, number one, serial killers. Been hard, you know. You think it's easy maintaining social distancing while hunting your next kill, right? You know, everybody's at home with other people, right? And while that hockey mask might protect you from coronavirus, are your victims as careful? I don't think so. Second losers of the pandemic, men with secret second families. There's shows where they didn't have secret second families. Crazy. You know, like with lockdown orders and how do they explain to each family where they are, right? Like, how do they're like, oh, I'm still on the road. I mean, I don't even blame them. Like, believe me, I get it. Like, this past year, all I can think about is how great it would be to have an apartment just myself, right? Like, not like to cheat on my family, just one that my family doesn't know about, just so I could sit and like just be quiet, have some quiet, you know, it'd be great. Anyway, number three, losers of the pandemic, white guys with fades. All right. I know my haircut looks like Nazi curious. Okay. And I've always thought of it as like, what if Hitler had been accepted to art school? Right? Like, that's what I'm going for, you know? But this is like the past few months, this is the first time in my life that I have been worried about racial profiling. Right, like with the you know, insurrection and everything. I'm like, you know what? Like, give me these guys. Like, I am white, all right, or as I prefer, Gring X, Gringo, Gring X. And like, I love camo. I'm wearing camo pants right now. I love camo. Q is my favorite letter, right? And like all these things, I'm not a terrorist, and so you know, but you know. I can't complain. You know who has suffered more than me? Fans of sport teams with red hats and white letters. Right? Let's face it, those MAGA hats have ruined everything. Like, whether you're a fan of the Philadelphia Phillies, Cincinnati Reds, Kansas City Chiefs, wearing that hat in public risks a lot of friendly fire. It's like the Sikhs who got attacked like after 9/11, you know? And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I got the wrong hat. It's like, no, I'm just a Reds fan. And like, no, thought you were a Trump supporter. Oh well. Anyway. Another big loser, and this includes me, is like conspiracy theorists. You know, it's like, here's the thing: I was raised as a conspiracy theorist. I was known for years by my friends as a conspiracy theorist. 2020 was the year that your normal next door neighbor became a conspiracy theorist, right? like the soccer mom next door knows who Jeffrey Epstein is. I had to work for that. I would spend like hours, like at night, on listening to AM radio about Bigfoot. I put years of effort into that, and what do I get? Nothing. Now there's like Q and like all these other things, and I'm like, fine. You know what? You can have it. You can have it. It's very, very upsetting. But yes, it was and is a time of great suffering. But in many ways, the pandemic, I think, has pointed us towards our common humanity. I think one thing we all experienced over the past year was that moment where you found out that several of your friends and family got coronavirus at the same party. And all you could think to yourself was, why were they at a party? Why wasn't I invited? Why was they at the like, oh no, they just all got it at the same party. Like, why was I not invited? Like, it's very, very upsetting. And who can forget the summer of 2020, right? Together we witnessed the eruption of the George Floyd protests, daily street battles between Antifa and the Proud Boys. You know, it was the summer America almost fell into civil war, and the summer that Netflix kept us lazy enough to prevent that war. It's the only reason. Is the only reason we didn't go out, right? Like I have AR-15s. I'm like, I'm not going to go out though. Like, it's just I got stuff to catch up on. You know. while the national conversation on race was delayed another year, we'll get to it eventually. I think a more important national conversation was taking place, namely, is extremism the only remaining way to make friends in your 30s? I want to know, because it seems like it. It's really hard. Like even with Charlottesville, I was like, hey, I don't agree with them, but they're all the same age. It's outside. They learn the words to the same chants, right? Like you watch like ISIS propaganda videos and it's like, they're on they have like Jeeps. They're like driving around like the desert. They're having fun. Like, what's not to love? A lot, but like you get my point. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would have loved to riot, right? I love to riot. One problem with that is I'm an introvert, and like it's hard to like riot like as an introvert. Like I'm not like it's difficult. The main reason though is I live in the suburbs, right? Like it's hard to riot in the suburbs. I got halfway to Home Depot to buy bricks to smash businesses until I realized the only businesses around here are like the soccer mom's multi-level marketing scams. And so I tried to riot. Like I went out like my next door neighbor and like I threw a brick through her window and like smashed all her like Jamberry things. And it was upsetting. So, and of course, how like we can't. Obviously, I have to mention the election, right? Trump versus Biden. Now, as a former Presbyterian, I know all about elections that don't make sense. Deep cut. Who got that? All right. But, okay, not all lives matter. Elect lives matter. That's make sure you. Okay. But I'm not Presbyterian anymore. I'm Catholic now, and now that I'm Catholic, the question has become: would monarchy really make less sense than this? Right? Like, watch the news. Like, does it really make less sense? Like, at least if you get a bad king, you don't feel bad as a country, right? Like, it's like an arranged marriage. It's not your fault. Okay. Right. But like electing a president is like meeting your wife on eHarmony, like, because like all the algorithms in the world are telling you one of these two people is your soulmate. And it's Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And it's like, guess what? You have a bad soul. Those are not good results. Okay. It's not a good thing. Here's the thing about Trump. I've always seen Trump as the wingman of the Republican Party, like he's the weird looking sexist jerk who you bring with you to the bar, who's so outrageous he makes you look good by comparison. And like, it's not a bad strategy, but it does have one weakness, okay? About half the time, it turns out a lot of women like that. And they go with him. And you're like, oh, shoot, this sucks. And now it's 2 a.m., the lights come on, and you're looking around, and you're like, please clap. Like you have nothing to offer to anybody. And that's it. I mean, all I'm saying is Trump was something different, okay? And I feel bad for him. I think 2020 was hard on him. Okay, I think we can pour one out for Trump because for years he's been the only news around. Like twice an hour you hear about Trump, right? I've been doing this thing, which is really fun. What you should do is I've been going up to people this past few weeks and been like, "Hey, did you hear what Biden said today?" And they're like, "No," and I'm like, "Yeah, me either. Yeah, I have no idea." Great point. It's like, I'm like. Like Biden, like controversy blew up when Biden said this. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It's just, right. But every story was about Trump, right? Like that is until coronavirus, right? Coronavirus. Then everything became about coronavirus. And I think he got jealous. He was jealous of the virus. Like not only did the virus steal the spotlight from him, but it killed way more people than he even planned to kill. At least like a few hundred more people than he had, on his his reminders on his phone. I think that's why he got the virus. Like remember he caught the virus. I think he did it on purpose. He challenged it to hand-to-hand combat, right? A final showdown, him and the virus, and he won. He beat coronavirus, but he didn't beat Biden, right? So, and And I think no matter what your politics are, your theology is, I do think it's important for us Catholics to give him a chance, right? Pray for him and, try not to criticize one of our own in public. It's the same respect that Muslims all over the world gave Obama. Like, I think it's something that we can do for him. But I think, like, even if you're not, there is something about the fact that he's Catholic, right? And like, he's a bad Catholic, but like, so are we. So it's like, okay, finally representation, in there. I don't want some like Latin mass going Catholic as the president showing me up. His wife has like a, has like a head covering on. I'm like, I don't want 12 kids. I don't want a Catholic like that as president. I want like a terrible Catholic as president, and it is inspiring. Joe Biden, our second Catholic president who's going to get assassinated by his vice president, right? Like 2 in a row. That joke got me banned from Facebook for a week. So just so you know. But like, people are so like divisive, right? Like every day I hear things like real Catholics can't be Democrats, right? Real Catholics can't be Democrats. And like, when you say that, like, guess what? You're talking about my devout grandmother in Georgia, okay, who voted for Biden, goes to mass every day, and would be so upset to hear those words if she hadn't died in 1974. Okay, but she voted for Biden anyway, and I think that's really just beautiful. He's more Catholic than I thought, seeking the intercession of the dead. It's like to win office, and I think it's great. It's great. And so with all the death and suffering going on, right, I do think it's fitting that tonight takes place just before Ash Wednesday, right? Because 2020 was, after all, the long Lent, But unlike other Ash Wednesdays, we Catholics can stay inside and avoid all those people ask, what's that on your forehead? What's that doing that? We don't have to do that. It's like the first year. It's awesome, It's also a time we remember Judas, okay, the patron saint of bad kissers, who betrayed Jesus in exchange for 30 pieces of silver, okay? A shocking amount considering how often we do it for free. But, and then, like, just to explain sort of Lent, right? So if you don't know what happened after that, like, after 40 days, on Good Friday, Jesus was arrested, accused by the chief priest, found not guilty, right? Acquitted, like today. Not comparing the two, but like, even though he was found not guilty, even though Jesus was found not guilty, the mob still demanded his death anyway, and he was crucified in a legal process we now refer to as Twitter. And of course, having seen their Savior crucified, the disciples scattered and wandered around, traumatized and in denial, like Trump supporters after Biden won. Just like staring around, like, trust the plan. But then, on Easter Sunday morning, hope, right? And whether you're a Christian, Muslim, Jew, or some other religion, it doesn't matter. I don't keep track of which ones. This whole story, not just 2020, but also the story of Lent and like Holy Week, the story is about hope, right? If you think about it, like 2,000 years ago, a poor Middle Eastern immigrant got murdered by the government, right? All hope was lost. And then 3 days later, he rose again from the dead as a rich white Republican man. Right? It just goes to show that in America, you can be anything you want as long as you have the right dad. I think that's the important thing. Anyway, God bless all of you, and thank you so much for having me on and as a part of this event, Encounter 2021. Hope to see you guys next year. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Jeremy McClellan. Have a good night.
All right, let's hear it for Jeremy McClellan.
Hi, Jeremy.
Yeah. So listen, if we see Jeremy walking around with a Viking costume on, we know he broke out of his shell and he's looking for some friends, right?
I don't have a Viking costume, but I did do a sketch where I played a Trump supporter and I had to borrow my neighbor's hat. And she made me promise that I would be nice to Trump supporters, like when I wore the hat. And so I just didn't share the link with her. So there you go.
Well, let's see what's next. All right, folks. So please enjoy our last and final musical interlude, the one and only Andrea. Zoom audience, you were wonderful tonight. Let's have one more round of applause for all of our comedians and performers.
Yeah.
Yes. May I ask a question? Who of you out there in Zoom land is in Zoom for work 5 days a week, 75 hours a week? Let me see a show of hands. Yeah. Okay. A little public service announcement I'd like to give, okay? If you're tempted to take your phone while you're doing a Zoom call into the bathroom, don't do it. Don't do it. You think to yourself, I got it under control. I got the camera off. I got the mute button off. I got to go to the bathroom, right? Maybe 99 times out of 100, everything's going to work out just great. But, all it takes is one little click on that camera button and it's done. Don't do it, okay? Another little Zoom etiquette thing, okay? When you're in a conference call and somebody calls your name and all of a sudden somebody says, hey, you're on mute. And then you get off the mute and you say, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't find the mute button. Now listen, you're on Zoom calls all day long. Nobody believes you that you couldn't find the mute button, okay? You just weren't paying attention. And you were slow to the trigger. That's it. And if you hear somebody say, when they are asked a question, can you repeat that question just one more time? That means they really weren't paying any attention at all, and they were multitasking. So blow their cover. Anyway, just wanted to make some public service announcements about Zoom. But once again, you were a wonderful audience tonight, and I have one last announcement before we close out. There is one more day of the New York Encounter, which kicks off at 11:30 tomorrow with When Reality Hits, a contribution by His Eminence Cardinal Dolan. You can also use tomorrow morning to watch the exhibits on Father Giussani and Monsignor Albacete on the website, NewYorkEncounter.org, and you can participate in one of the interactive encounter sessions on Zoom with people who knew Father Giussani and who knew or are friends or fans of Monsignor Albacete. Remember that throughout the weekend, the website is the door to the encounter. Again, NewYorkEncounter.org. And that's also the door to allow you to make a donation to help the New York Encounter live and grow. Once again, thank you for being such a wonderful audience. We hope you enjoyed the show and have a great night. Good night.